Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tek Torrent Podcast. This is episode number 49 of the year, I think. Gotta double check that. I gotta go count them, but I believe we're at 49. How's everyone doing today? We got something a little bit different, a little short on time this week, but I wanted to make a stream regardless and see all you wonderful people. Let me know in live chat if you guys can hear me and see me as always, and thank you to everyone that joined us. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at chat before we move on here. Let's take a look. Let's see who we got here tonight. So we got Techman TY. Thank you for joining the live stream, buddy. Thank you for seeing you. Thank you for being here, rather. Let's see. We got Zach. We got no, not Zach. We got Efren, which is Timo from our Discord. Yes, DIY electric today topic. Basically, I'm gonna go over some new products I've been using in my own house. So, real quick, guys. Leviton, the company that makes outlets and stuff, they did not sponsor me. I bought this all with my own money, and I've been using it in my house today. We replaced 6 outlets, 1 switch, and like a fan and all these other things electrically. And I gotta say, these new receptacles have been making things so much easier. People might have mixed opinions, but I think they're absolutely fantastic. We're gonna get into that right here in just a moment. So let me know in the live chat if you guys have any questions about anything that I'm doing or what's going on here. Otherwise, I'm gonna get started. Ignore this, by the way. Those of you that know, you know. Don't worry about it. It's just there as an example. Okay, guys. So if you guys don't know, we're gonna be talking about the Decora Edge Leviton series. So let me switch over to the top cam here. I'll give you guys a closer look at what we got going on. All right, so we are now at the top cam. You guys can see, yep. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in so you guys can see closely what I'm looking at. So this, first of all, is like a traditional outlet. Now this is a special one. It is the Leviton Plus Pro Heavy Duty. It's got more metal in it. It's more durable, all that good stuff. So this is what we're used to, right? These terminals on the side that you screw down, right? And you got your ground right here, and this is where, so yeah, I believe, yeah, okay. So black goes on the right, so black wire, which is hot, and white on the left, which is neutral, and your ground goes right here. So this is what we're used to, and you basically take the wire, right? You take this WAGO off. You take the wire, you make a little J hook, you get it in there, you tighten it down, and then that's you call it a day, right? That's how these things work. Now, traditionally speaking, these type of things have been around for years. I would even go as far as to say 100 years. This is how it's always been. And recently, I'd say a couple of years ago, I think the last 10 years, I think these have been around a while, we had the advent of something called WAGO connectors. You've probably heard of these, the beautiful things. What these are basically wire nuts, okay? There's a little lever that you open up right there. And you can actually see, unfortunately my camera can't get that close, so we can actually put a wire in here, flip this thing down, and you got a nice solid connection that ain't coming out, at least not easily. These are pretty cool. I really like them, and they make any electrical job, especially DIY, so much easier, right? Well, the next evolution in technology from something like this, right? So what if these two, they started seeing each other, having a good time, things started getting a little serious, and then boom, they have a baby. And this is what you got. If you look at the back, you'll notice that it is quite different from your traditional receptacle. Now, this may at first look like something called a backstab, which, by the way, I really don't like, because backstab is basically a little spring clip, and that can loosen up over time. A lot of people use it. It's probably been fine. It's UL listed and all that stuff. I don't like it. But like I said, a WAGO nut and a receptacle had a baby, and they came out with this. So check this out, guys. We got WAGO style levers on the side right here, right? They just flip out like that. And then you can put your wire in the hole, flip the lever back down, and now you got a nice solid connection. I'm like reaming on that. It's not coming out. So that is pretty freaking awesome in my opinion. And that just comes right back out. Now, what I like about these, right, is that unlike the kind with the backstab, where you stab the wire in through the back and it just locks, this can be used if you mess up or if the length is wrong, you need to extend the circuit. You can use this multiple times. It's actually rated for more than one insertion. The ones with backstabs, you can insert into them only one time. This is not a backstab, to be very clear, just using it as an example. You can only insert into them one time, and then technically it's done. You're not supposed to use it again. Now, I did use these in my house today. We changed over many outlets, receptacles, sorry, for those that are paying attention. Listen to that click. Ooh, that's such a good click, right? We replaced about 6 of these in my house today, and I gotta say, the amount of time savings from making a J-hook, getting it the right length, get it into here, making sure you screw it down correctly, versus just basically making straight stripped wires, right? Sticking in the hole, flipping the lever down, and putting the socket back into place. I'd say about half the time was saved, because Romex coming out of the wall is almost always solid core wire. I think it might be code or something like that. And those are pretty hard to manipulate. So the fact that you don't have to get into a specific type of J-hook style, get into the little screws on these things, right? And you can just kind of stick it in here and flip down a lever is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, guys, I am not sponsored by Leviton by any sense, okay? I spent over $100 on these things, and I'll get to how much they cost in a moment. But I did buy several of these. I bought almost 20 of these, plus the switches. So this right here, guys, actually, let me take a look at chat before I go on. I've been blabbering here for a little bit. Techman TY says, throw those away, screw wires down. You mean the receptacles, or are you talking about these WAGO nuts? Because I know there's a lot of controversy on what's good and what's not. So I can definitely understand that, and I actually was quite skeptical of these WAGO style lever nuts as well. But I actually did some few tests on them, and how fast it makes home DIY electrical, it's just it's great. Now, if a professional came to my house that I was paying money, I probably want them to use a nice secure wire nut, because, you know, that's what they're used to. If they use things like this and they're a professional, I might be a little skeptical on how professional they are, because I feel that these are mostly for DIY, non-professional, like homeowner type things. So let me get on to the switches here. Let's take a look. So I'm going to switch back to top-down view. Now, we already talked about the receptacles, and of course these are all tamper resistant. They're made so, for example, I got a plug here. Let's undo. So you actually can't really put it in unless everything is lined up. They will only open at once. So there's like a type of a shutter system. One of these can't be depressed at a time. They both have to be depressed at the same time. And that makes it tamper resistant. You can actually see like a white shutter in there. It's kind of hard to tell, but when I get this in here, about right there, you could feel the shutter give. You have to press both of them at the same time, and then it goes into the outlet. So again, the switches, they made switches with the same WAGO style lever nuts on the back. So here's a standard Leviton rocking switch, okay, and same deal. Now this is a single pole, but double pole, but they also have a triple pole switches where you can buy, where they have more wiring options, of course. I don't have anything like that in my house at the moment, so I only bought double pole right here. Now, you guys might be wondering how much do these things cost. They're actually not that expensive. So if you buy these in a pack of 10, which I did, they're $2.50 a piece, so just for example, this one receptacle right here cost me over $8. Why? Well, it is a 20 amp, it's commercial, and it weighs significantly more than this. It has a lot more metal in here. This is definitely a high-end, high-impact commercial receptacle. So yeah, I think Leviton really priced these right. These are only $2.50 if you buy a pack of 10. If you buy them one at a time, I think they're $3 something. but the speed at which, how fast you can wire your house with these, I think they're fantastic. Like I said, I wouldn't really want to see them when a professional was using it, but for the homeowner, the DIY homeowner, I think this is a really fantastic choice. Like I said, guys, this stream is going to be pretty short. We're going to be going over some things that we worked on at the house. And this is just this is like a cheap electrical box that you put in your wall. It's got the little flags here that open up when you clamp onto the other side of the drywall. The only problem with these, so I have an old house, and old houses have lath and plaster. So basically imagine studs, right? In your normal house. Then you put all these little like strips of wood, like 1-inch strips of wood. And you put them about like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch apart. They're pretty close. And then you just cover that whole thing with plaster. And that was the wall back in the day. Of course, nowadays we have drywall, which is much faster, much more of an even surface. And, you know, it's just, in my opinion, better overall. So in my house, when they remodeled some of the rooms, unfortunately, they went the cheap and fast route. And instead of replacing the whole wall, taking off all the lath and plaster, they just pounded off as much plaster as they could. Then they just put the drywall right over it. So that, in fact, made my walls extra thick. So these things that are designed to go between sheetrock and the wall are actually not that great because, well, my wall is super thick. It's like 2 inches thick, I don't know, 1.5 inches thick, and they don't really work very well, which is quite unfortunate. But I was able to get a few of these boxes in. I had a lot of old receptacles in the house that were pretty loose, and I was able to fix them up. I also got some Tesla solar updates here. So I just got a call. Oh, let me check the chat before we move on. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Let's take a look. So Techman TY says, all of it, tight connections don't melt. Tight connections don't melt. Oh, okay. Actually, Techman TY, you are absolutely correct. So they actually did a test with these WAGO connectors versus a like a wire nut connector. And I think they ran like 23 amps through a 15 amp circuit on a test, not in a house. And the WAGO lever nuts did actually get hotter, right? These style connectors did actually get hotter than a standard wire nut. Now, the code is different depending on what state you are and all that, but the code for the United States, basically, I think it was 212 degrees on the upper limit when a circuit is technically a failure. They did get hotter, but it was only like 1 to 5% hotter than a wire nut because there technically is less contact area, right? You got like a little pinch connection versus two solid wires going together, which I do believe is a more solid electrical connection. I do agree, but you kind of get to the point of diminishing returns in the sense that it's kind of overkill. Now, I wouldn't do my whole house with these, no. But if I was just doing DIY stuff myself, I think these are absolutely great. Just like in time savings and the fact that, you know, I'm not a professional electrician. By the way, guys, none of this is from a professional electrician. I just have my own house and I work on it myself. Saves me a lot of money. And in my state, in my country, my state, if you work on your own house, it gets kind of a gray area. But basically, if you work on it yourself, you don't need a permit technically, and the government can't come after you and you can't get in trouble as long as it's done correctly. That's the big key thing there. Creating space. Oh, snap. Creating space. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you've been well, man. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Let's see. Efren says, Soul 7, Shinji makes electric plug babies. Yeah. You guys saw that? I just thought that was kind of funny. I actually thought a lot about that one, how I was going to introduce that. Smash that like button. Yes, for those of you that are watching, if you're still here and if you're leaving, make sure you smash that like button on the way out, but don't leave yet because I'm going to talk about my Tesla solar roof, some updates on that as well. Let's see. Soul 7 says, yes, WAGO can melt. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt. Yeah, you guys get the t-shirt last? So this right here is like a logo of the Aeon Poker Tournament. It says last Aeon Poker Tournament, I pulled a TekShinji. What happened was I forgot to do the full registration process at the very beginning. So basically the game started and nothing happened. I was like, what the heck? And it was too late. I couldn't register. So I just had to sit there and be entertaining. That was a little bit embarrassing. Let's see. Techman TY says 8 amps or less may be okay. over time. Not trying to get ugly, just concerned. Yes, I agree. Yeah, so they did pull like 23 amps through the 15 amp circuit on both a WAGO and a WAGO wire nut and a regular wire nut. And there was a bit of a difference in temperature. Yes, there was. Absolutely 100%. There's less contact area on a WAGO nut to actually make no difference. There was a difference. And I totally agree. Like I said, professionally, I wouldn't want them to do it because guess what? I'm paying them for their services, right? Myself, I think they're totally fantastic, or any DIY home guy. I use these, so there's some situations where the wires are so thick and so hard to deal with. So I have some 10 gauge wires in my basement for my water heating circuit, which is kind of overkill, but we needed to make it a standardized circuit. So we used heating wire, which is 10 gauge. And these actually didn't work. These are too small. So for that machine, I actually used a bigger version of this, which I think is the 211 connectors. No, these are the 211. I forgot what the other ones are. They're basically this, but the bigger version. And that technically is too big for that one. I think it goes to 8 to 10 or something like that. It barely fit. Now, I couldn't imagine twisting those 10 and 8 gauge wires together and putting a fat wire nut on it. That would have taken a significant amount of effort. Well, with this, I just slide it in, flip the levers down, and we're good to go. So they definitely saved me a lot of time and frustration. I quite like them myself. Let's take a look. Soul7 says, however, 23 amp on a 15 amp circuit, trip. Yes, it should trip. So this was a test circuit that they designed that did not have that type of breaker on it. And they ran the amperage through it on purpose over limit. So a 15 amp circuit, if you pull more than 15 amps too quickly, I think there was a little bit of leeway where they won't trip right away if you go up to it slowly. But if you just slam it with 15 amps, the part, depending on the circuit breaker you have, will basically just instantly overheat and then trip. So in a normal wiring situation, yeah, you wouldn't even get to that point anyway if your breakers are working correctly. Of course, the higher the resistance, it'll make more heat, and that is definitely a concern. Weakening. Yeah, it can do some weakening. Like I said, I've been using these for about a year now, and at least in this house, I'm not too concerned with it. I use it on some low voltage stuff like the doorbell system, fire alarm system, things like that, and it all seems to be working fine. Oh yeah, so let's get into the exciting news about my Tesla Solar. So for those of you that don't know, let's give you a quick story. 1 year ago, actually more than a year ago, 3 months, because it was March. So March of 2022, I applied for the Tesla solar roof. Yeah, in my POS house, in my point of sale house. Obviously, that's what that stands for. We all know this. I applied for the Tesla solar program on my house. Not a program, just a product rather. And it's taken up to now to finally get some concrete information on an install date and all that stuff. So around November of last year to about February is when they got, no, sorry, before that. I want to say the close to September of last year, between September and December of last year, they applied for all the permits and all that stuff. I got everything all squared away, and we were supposed to like install in April or March of this year, approximately 1 year afterwards. Well, XYZ, due to COVID, that didn't obviously happen. That didn't obviously happen, and guess what? I'm not going to get my solar roof just yet. So I got a few phone calls recently from them about my solar roof, and they actually are going to install it quite soon. So what do I mean by quite soon? I'm trying to adjust something here, guys. Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. Let me know if the music is too loud, because when I watch the streams after the fact, I can't hear the music like at all. So just let me know how loud it is right now. I just turned it up a tiny bit. I let the stream go for about what is this now, 30 minutes with the music the volume was at before. Now I'm going to try it again at the other volume so that the music completely cycles through. If you guys can't hear me or if the music's too loud, please let me know in the live chat or after the fact if you're watching this. So I got a phone call from Tesla about a month and a half ago actually. And they said, hey, giving you a call to let you know we are on track. Okay, what does that mean? Yes, well, you're gonna get another call in about 30 days with an install date. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty sweet. That's awesome. And they confirmed a bunch of details with me, the 2 Tesla Powerwalls, the 14 kilowatt solar roof system. And for those of you that don't know, it's solar roof, not solar panels. So I'm gonna get a new roof and solar panels all in one. Very nice, very premium product. You can't even tell unless you're actually looking at the roof, because it'll just look like a shingle roof that's slightly shiny. It's got a bit of a sheen to it, right? Yeah, so that plus the Tesla gateway, the inverter, all of that fully installed. We went over all the details and they told me like, yeah, all the permits are good. Some people we waited on too long, so the permits expired, but there's a very high likelihood you're gonna get done. Like it's good to go. I'm like, okay, it's cool. 3 weeks go by, so this was a few days ago. Almost a month goes by. I get another call from Tesla, right? This time it's somebody else, but on the same number. They give me a call. Hey, this is so-and-so from Tesla Solar on a recorded line. And of course, I always say, awesome, thanks. Do you mind if I record this call too? And of course, this guy for some reason didn't consent. He said, no, I do not consent, and he didn't want to record it. So I couldn't record it. Anyways, he called me to let me know, hey, everything's looking good. You are on track, and we're gonna get started soon. I'm like, okay, what about an install day? He said, oh yeah, we're not at that point yet. We're just calling to confirm you with a few things. And there's just there's 2 updates I need to talk to you about just to make sure you're on the same page. So what happened was that there's inactive panels on all of the edges. So the edges of the roof and the edges next to any penetrations, like your stink pipe for your sewer system, your chimney, your dryer vents, all that stuff, all those penetrations, those are all inactive tiles right around the perimeter of those things. So basically, they have made a change to speed up the install process. Now on the phone, this guy kind of slipped and said, yeah, a 14 kilowatt system, probably take a week and a half to 2 weeks. I'm like, damn, that takes a long time to put a roof up, but it is solar and all this other stuff, so it makes sense anyways. He said that they're gonna be changing from the tiles before that were inactive, that were glass, right? They're changing over to a architectural steel, like shingle looking thing. So it's basically like a metal roof part. And according to them, that will save them a ton of time. And it kind of makes sense. With glass, you gotta like score it and cut it and all that, get into the shape, grind it down. With steel, you can just kind of take shears and cut it and bend it to the shape you need. And you know, that's absolutely cool. That's awesome. It's the roof installed faster. But it doesn't increase or slow, it does not bring the install date any closer. That's the problem. So I just told the guy like, hey, that's great to hear. When are we getting started, right? When's my install date? And then he told me again, yeah, we'll call you in like another month or 3 months. Not 3 months, 3 weeks to a month that we're gonna get that date on track and we'll give you a call and let you know. So that call was basically telling me that they didn't forget about me and they're gonna change the shingles a little bit. I personally would like the glass shingles that are inactive because then it all looks kind of the same. But according to him, you can't really tell the difference. Let's see, Soul7 says weakling, weak hands. Hey, I will admit to anyone that I do not have a lot of strength. I am a weak person. I am not very strong. But you know what my nickname was in the automotive industry? It was Shinji the Truck Tech. You know why I was the truck tech? Because I was the smallest person in the shop. Everyone else was way bigger and burly than me, but they always gave me the trucks. You want to know why? Because I thought it was funny. Because, you know, when you got a truck that comes in with a freaking lifted truck with these giant wheels that weigh more than me, well, guess what? It's work smarter, not harder, okay? On top of that, when you're small in the automotive industry, it's actually really beneficial. You can fit under lifts better, you can get inside of the car better, you can put your hands where other places, you know, they can't go. So I used my advantages on tools and leverage. Leverage is your friend, right? But yeah, I do have weekends, so to speak, twisting those 10 gauge wires together. That would have been a lot of work, and I'm glad I didn't have to deal with that. Soul7 says soon equals Department of Transportation soon. Yeah, that's, I mean, I'm pretty confident it's gonna happen this year. At this point, I'm thinking it's gonna be like September. So it'll be a year and a half after I signed up for it to actually get it installed. Now, after I get it installed, there's something called PTO, which is permission to operate. That's when it gets real. Because after I get permission to operate, I can start producing. I would love to produce this summer, but it looks like realistically right now, I'm gonna go through one winter with the roof not producing very much. But I'll have the power wall, so if power ever goes out, at least I won't be completely out of energy, or out of power for that matter. Soul7 says bench press that transmission into place. So I did do a tranny swap on I think it was an inline car. So the bell housing and all that was attached to the side of the engine, right? Not the back of it. Okay, technically it's not the back of it. It's the side of the engine. It's the same spot on a inline engine, but it's this way, so it's transverse. The cylinder's direction is in line with the front wheels on the axis. So the transmission attaches like side of that, and the engine shifted over. It's a bunch of things. Anyways, those weigh like a couple of, I can't remember. It was a couple of 100 pounds, I think. And I just used an engine jack or a transmission jack to get it into place. And then I just got one bolt in, and then I was able to like leverage it up and put the other bolt in. And then that's all I needed to, because there's a whole bunch of bolts around that bell housing to keep that thing on there. The trickiest part is to get those splines to line up when you put the transmission in. Yeah, but lifting a tranny it's pretty heavy. But no, I will not be bench pressing any transmissions into place. That will not be happening. Well, guys, that's all I really had for this week. I want to go play some Warzone, play some Call of Duty. If you guys haven't yet, join our Discord, linked in the description below. That is where I will be streaming Call of Duty and Warzone and other various games. Usually play every other night, especially weekends after the stream. Today we had a pretty busy day in the house. I'm kind of tired. We don't really have much content on the stream this week, but there will be definitely more to come. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, right now is a good time to ask. If you have any questions for me, anything with content and stuff like that. Thank you to Creating Space and all of you guys for coming by. Hope I didn't miss anybody. Nope, I don't think I didn't miss anyone. Yeah, so I'll just give a quick review on what I did, what I talked about today. So we got the Leviton switches that have this wonderful WAGO wire nut system. So you just put the wire in this, right? Just like, well, this is all messed up now, but I'm not gonna do it. But you just put that switch down, it locks in the wire. And that is just like a WAGO nut, which is pretty cool to my opinion. And of course, we got the receptacles that do the same thing. And I've just installed a bunch of these in my house. So I cannot wait to try these out with a 1500 watt heater 24/7, see what happens. All right, let's transition back. Let's take a look. Oh, now you want to play when I'm offshore. Oh, dude, I didn't know you were offshore, man. I'm so sorry. I've been busy. I had a guest over that was helping me fix up the house and helping me do a lot of tasks. We actually took a fan out. We took a whole damn fan out and replaced it with a modern lighting thing. It's like a big LED dome. And no, it's not a boob light. I hate boob lights, okay? I'm trying to get rid of every boob light in this house. There's one I can't really get at yet because it's in a weird spot. But no booby lights in this house, okay? No, end of story, not happening. Unless it's free, then I might think about it. So yeah, we installed this giant LED. I posted a picture in our Discord in the Gen chat, I think. Yeah, I replaced that, replaced a bunch of receptacles. Removing and replacing a fan is actually not as hard as I thought. It's actually it's a lot of custom work involved there. It's not like a hard thing to do because there's like a little cover on it and you could just kind of swing out the ball. It's like a ball socket. That's why the fan has a little bit of movement. It's pretty cool actually. It's a good design. There's a pretty old fan too. I'm gonna try to take all the fans out of this house because we're gonna have HVAC in here. We're gonna have heat pumps. That's probably gonna be either late this year or next year. Anyway guys, let's see, no other questions. So if that's all we got for this week, we're gonna go ahead and do the ending. As always, guys, thank you for joining me on this live stream. I mean, even though I didn't have that much to talk about, we've been going for like almost 30 minutes here. Awesome. So thank you to everyone that joined this week. Remember, guys, I'll be in the Discord. If you haven't joined yet, it's linked in the description below. And of course, if you didn't hit that like button, go ahead and do it now if you don't mind. And if you're not already, get subscribed because I got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Well, anyways, thank you for joining me here this week. We'll see you same bad time, same bad channel next week. Bye-bye.